My name is James Jansen, and I'm a software developer. I'm creating an alternative to Apple Notes or Evernote. In this episode, I'm going to be naming our startup. The name of your startup is really important. It's the first thing that people interact with. It ends up being your domain name, and it gives them a way to remember your startup or forget it. So choosing a good name is always really important. When naming a startup, I have a few principles that I like to follow. I don't always follow every single rule, but keeping some of these things in mind will avoid a lot of pain in the future. First of all, the startup name should be easy to say, in English especially. If people can't say your startup and be able to write it down, it's going to be hard for them to visit your domain. So I had a couple of startups that were like this. My first one was crabme, crabme.com. I still think this is a good name. It's a short domain name, but the problem is that people think that it sounds like crab meat. Another startup name we had problems with was ZipSub. ZipSub was the name of TapView before it was TapView. I think it is a good name, ZipSub. It's very clear what it means, fast subscription, but when you say it, people confuse it for zips up, like zip up a pair of pants. It's kind of sexual, doesn't really work that well with corporate partners, so we changed our name to TapView because it was much clearer what people were saying when they said it. The next important point is the .com domain available? A lot of startups like to use the .io or .co domain. I don't think it's a really great idea. I think it's confusing. I think that people go to the wrong site. It leaves you at the will of people who actually own the .com domain to redirect your customers somewhere else. It's also a risk with the domain registrar. So those .io and .co domains, quite often they're a country level domain, which means if the government of these often quite small countries change, they may not like whatever you're selling on your website, so they may kick you off it. So I think that it's better to just go with the .com. Try and find a name, maybe it's a bit longer, but it's better to have the .com. Next up is that there are no trademarks that are similar. When you're naming your company, it's really important that you have a distinctive name, but it's also very important that you have a legally distinct name. If there's a company in your field that is using a similar name, that company then could sue you, and you would lose a lot of goodwill with your existing customers based on your name. So try to avoid overlapping with another company in your field with that same name. Next up is having a cute mascot is awesome. So I like mascots. I think there are lots of cool companies that have cool mascots. Twitter used to have them. You have GitHub, GitKraken, Datadog. The list is almost endless of startups that have cute mascots. They're really good for personalization and for people memorizing who you are. What does that have to do with naming the startup? Well, sometimes it's good to actually have the animal that is your mascot in the name of your company. So for example, MailChimp. They have a chimp as their mascot and they have chimp in their name. So you can see why this is going to be important. While you're thinking of your name, think about the mascots that you'd like to have. Next up is a play on words is cool. So for example, I use a company called GitKraken to manage my Git. That sounds like get cracking, which means, get going, get working. So I think that having a play on words is cool. Sometimes it's a bit hard to get the play on words, but if one's available, definitely think about using it. Next up is, you should be able to understand what the company does from the name. And basically, what the company does should be in the name itself. There's this trend going around where early stage startup companies are naming their company something very abstract. They look at companies like Apple and Uber and think, I can just call my company some one word name and then people will just get it. The reality is though that those companies didn't start with those names. For example, Apple was originally Apple Computer. So it was a good name, Apple Computer, first letter in the alphabet, top of the phone books if you remember what those are, but they called themselves Apple Computer. It wasn't until years later that they shortened it to Apple. So call yourself something that is related to what you do so that your customers remember what your company does. And the follow on from this in my case is that the company should be 2 English words, with one being note or pad or something similar. So I'm going to start with that as a baseline for choosing a name for my startup. If you've liked what you've heard so far and you want to keep following me along in my journey, then give this video a like and subscribe to my channel, because that's the way that the YouTube algorithm will work out that you like me and you want to see more. It costs nothing, so just go and do it right now. I'm going to use a couple of different tools to actually go through the process of finding and eliminating names. Firstly, I'm going to use a thesaurus to think of names which are related to what I do, but I haven't thought of yet. I'm going to use ChatGPT and other AI tools to work out if there's something that AI can give me that maybe I haven't thought of. I don't use AI that much, but I think that AI is sort of good for like creative writing where you might be having a creative block. So I'm going to use AI in this situation. The next thing I'm going to use is the domain registrar. I'm going to look up the domain name and check that it's available. And the final thing that I'm going to use is the trademark and patent office search to work out if my company name is currently being used by another company in my field. But before we get to doing that search, I've got to manage some tasks. I created a task list for setting up this startup in Focover. Focover is a startup that I created. It's basically chat and task management all in one. It's really good for making tasks and subtasks that actually work, tagging both people and types of tasks. And I think it's really good. It's basically the way that I work, how I wish other project management systems would work. So if this is what you would like to use, go and check it out at focover.com. Anyway, I checked off some of my previous tasks here. You can see that I set up the recording studio and OBS. I recorded the video, and now I have completed editing the video. I created some intro titles and an outro, so I can tick all those off, and that should finish all of those tasks. I have also created a YouTube channel, and I've uploaded the video, and that video is still early stages. It's still growing. If you'd like to check it out, I'll put a link to it up here and in the description so you can check out the next one. But yes, early stage YouTube channel, getting a few views, very happy with that at this stage. I also did some social posting around this YouTube video. I think that did okay. I think that a lot of my friends aren't really interested in building public type videos, so I'm going to have to build an audience which is more interested in that. Anyway, I did that posting, so I can tick that off as well, and that task is completely done. So now that we are deciding on a company name, I can move that to the top of my list, and I will start working on that. I've done the philosophy of naming. Oh, and I forgot one thing. I need to cancel my Evernote plan. Okay, so we'll just use any thesaurus that comes up. Let's just look at it. Let's start typing note. Okay, so we've got character, sign, tone, degree, attention, heat. It's not really any of these. Let's see if the definitions work. So it's notes. They don't really have any synonyms for this one. I think note is going to be the best word in our startup. We might also try notepad or just pad if it works. So now that we've decided that note needs to be in there, either as the first word or the second word, I think we should look up things that could be a mascot for our system. So I was thinking it could be an animal, or maybe it could be a fruit. So a play on apple note, we could use cherry note or melon note or orange note or something else that's available. I have a feeling that a lot of the domains are going to be restricted, so it's going to be a bit of a test to see what's available, but here we go. And before we get going, I thought I would ask ChatGPT about ideas for my startup. I have a feeling it's going to have some pretty mediocre ideas, and a lot of them will be taken because this is how the system works. It learns off existing data. It will be sort of limited in its creativity, but it's worthwhile checking just in case I've got any blind spots about, funny or creative ideas that I have. So let's have a go. So what I've put into ChatGPT here is a very short instruction about what I want it to do and the principles that we were talking about earlier. So I'm saying I'm creating a startup company that's a notes application. It needs a unique, creative, and fun name. The name should be easy to say, available.com domain, no trademarks that are similar. Having a cute mascot is awesome. Play on words is cool. Should be able to understand what the company does from the name. What the product is should be in the name, and 2 English words with one being note or pad or something similar. So let's see what it comes up with. Oh, it's asking me for 2 different responses. Okay, I have to judge which one is better. Okay, Note Nest, Pad Panda, Note Nook, Pad Pals. They're very similar, which is a bit of a concern because I feel like that means that it's going to be the same sort of names that they give to everyone. That means that they're like sort of existing names, but none of them really have sort of a playfulness to them. Maybe Note Noodle, that seems a bit playful, so I'm going to say I prefer this response. Okay, let's go to can you suggest names which include fruits or animals? Okay, fruits or animals. Note berry, note mango, peach pad, note lime, cherry pad, grape note, citrus pad, plum note, otter note, that's good. Panda pad, I like that, but I have a feeling that one's going to be taken. Fox note, bunny pad, koala note, hedge pad, squirrel note. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I think these are some good starting points. I will take these and I'll check on the domain name registrar which one of these are available. Actually, it's asking if it would like to check for me. I'll do that. Okay, it says that they're all available. I have a feeling that this is a lie because I'm fairly certain that some of these will be taken. But I will check out for myself in Amazon right now. Okay, so we're at the domain registrar and we're going to check if these are available. So let's check the first one, Noteberry. Okay, noteberry.com is not available. What a surprise. ChatGPT is making things up. Let's check out notemango.com. Notemango is available. Cool. Okay. Next up, Peachpad. Peachpad is not available. Okay, next up, notelime.com. Notelime is available. Next up, CherryPad. CherryPad is not available. GrapeNote. Not available. CitrusPad. Not available. PlumNote. There's no way this is available. Nope, not available. OtterNote. This one's cool. I'd be surprised if it's available. Nah, not available. PandaPad. I like this. Definitely not available. Okay. FoxNote. Okay, not available either. BunnyPad. Nope. Koala Note. Nope. Hedgepad. Nope. Squirrel Note. Nope. Okay, so out of 15 suggestions that ChatGPT assured me were available, like 3 were. So we're going to have to work a little bit harder for this. I'm going to think of some more animal names and check them out and see what's happening. Okay, I'm going to get ChatGPT to give me a list of a lot of animals, just to see if there's any that kind of sound fun. otter, panda, fox, bunny, koala, hedgehog, squirrel, raccoon, owl, dolphin. Dolphin notes, that sounds great. Bear note, I think that's all right. Tiger note, that sounds good. And make a good mascot as well. Cheetah note, I like it, but it's too long probably. Lynx to unknown. Deer note, I feel like people would get confused with like deer. DEAR. Moose note, sounds alright. Sloth, don't think that being associated with being slow is a good thing. Penguin note, I really like that one actually. Parrot note, hawk note, eagle note, falcon note, turtle note, chameleon note, gecko note, frog note, kangaroo note, meerkat, that's too long, lemur note, monkey note, gorilla note, chipmunk note. There's a lot here. Okay, let's get going with some of these in the domain registrar. Okay, so now I have a gigantic list of domains. I tried some of the fruit-based domains as well, but they're pretty much all taken, so I'm basically just staying with animal-based domains. Okay, now onto the list. As you can see, this is quite a detailed list. There's lots of different animals to choose from. I like quite a few of them. I consulted with my partner about which ones that she liked, and I've come up with a short list of the ones that work. And those are these four: dolphinnote.com, penguinnote.com, meerkatnote.com, and crabnote.com. Now, some of them I can't actually get the note.com and notes.com domains, and I feel like that's kind of a deal breaker. Not completely, but I think it's pretty important to have both the note.com and notes.com domains. Anyway, so what I'll be doing is I'll be registering these domains, and I'll actually put it to you. So if you think that you like one of these domains more than another, then let me know in the comments, and I would love to see what people come up with if you've got another idea that isn't on this list. Now I'm going to show you how I would look up the trademarks for each of those domains. I'm not going to go through all of them because it will take too long, but basically I'll show you where to go and how to do it. So what you're looking for is the US Patent and Trademark Office trademark search. So just Google that and you'll come up with this page. Click on the trademark search system, and then you want to put your company name in here. So in my case, I'll put in Dolphin Note. As you can see, there are some trademarks for this kind of thing. There's a lot of results, 10,000, so it could take a while to go through, but largely the best results will come up first, so you don't need to go through all of them. But basically, just search through, see if there's anything that looks like Dolphin Note, in my case. So we have Dolphin Arcade, that's nothing like that. Dolphin Energetics, bodywork and therapy services, got nothing to do with my field, so it's not a worry. Zippy, Flippy. As you can see, these trademarks, they're dead or cancelled, so that means that they've been abandoned by the company that registered it. So you can actually register it again if you want to, or if it's very similar to what you have, then you don't need to worry about a company coming after you. They've already lost the intellectual property protection, so you can go ahead and start your company with that name or with a similar name. You won't really face any consequences. Not legal advice. Go talk to a trademark lawyer if you want to find out more, but this is just basically avoiding, a big mistake early on without consulting a lawyer about, what is a good trademark. Once you start applying for a trademark, then you need to actually, well, you don't need to. I've registered multiple trademarks without consulting a lawyer, but I think it's better to if you're really worried about someone taking your name. We're all good here. I think that I can register Dolphin Note without facing any consequences from a trademark holder. To round things out, I wasn't very happy with ChatGPT and its suggestions for domains. It wasn't very good at telling me whether a domain was registered or not. It said, oh, yes, this domain is available. Almost all of them weren't available. That's fine. ChatGPT did give me a good list of animals that I could use, and I've used some of them to register some domains. But what I'd like to do is try ChatGPT to create some logos as a demonstration of what it might look like. I probably won't use any of these logos because of copyright issues, or like it could look very generic, but it might give me some inspiration, or the graphic artists that I hire to actually come up with something that looks a little bit better than what they would come up with otherwise. Okay, so I'm going to ask ChatGPT to create a dolphin mascot logo for a note app. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so that is surprisingly good. That looks really nice. I think that even in the short term, this might be something that, I could use while I'm waiting for a proper graphic designer to, come up with something different. Anyway, so, you have some hits and some misses with AI. I think in some ways, AI is pretty generic and it's not very good for asking about reality. But when it comes to some creative things, it does come up with some okay ideas, and this logo is an example of that. Okay, so that's me creating a name for my startup. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, go down and like the video, subscribe to my channel, so that you can keep up to date with what's happening. It's going to be even better, the future videos. Some of those future videos will include deciding on product features, business model and pricing, my video setup for tips on how to do efficient videos like this one, choosing app platforms, market research and why I'm not doing it. I kind of am, but I'm not really. And why building in public is hard. So yeah, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.